I'm good. I'm really good with heavy lifting.
Okay. Are you happy in life?
Yeah, actually happier than I've been in a really long time.
Okay. Why do you say that?
I think I reached a place where I stopped struggling with the things I did when I was younger. Maybe it's maturity. Maybe it's being on the other side of 35, I guess. And maybe it is just having my feet on the ground and a little bit more stable ground. But I think I'm not running as fast as I was. I'm thinking about the steps I take. I'm in a really comfortable, content place when it comes to my life. And the choices that I'm making are mine and are not defined by other people or the validation that I probably needed when I was younger. So I think that's made me a little bit more happy and calm.
Okay.
A little bit.
Yeah.
When I was younger, it was really romanticized that you're going for it and just keep going. And, it's like you have to work 24 hours, do 4 movies in one time, 5 shifts, don't sleep, don't eat. And the more a person does that, the more successful you will be. But as I have seen and lived more life, I've realized having a work-life balance is really important. So when you talk about a beach, I was in Turks and Caicos just recently. My phones were off, me and my husband, just by ourselves. We spent time, we walked on the beach, we collected shells. And then I came back feeling rejuvenated, feeling excited, and really motivated to take my career forward. So this romanticization of work has to be tough and work has to be rough, and it's not. Work can be your companion. Work can be creative. Work can be something that gives you joy. And now I've reached a point where that work-life balance for me is most important. I will working on, my business, my production, my book, my acting, whatever. But when I switch off, I'm with my family, I'm at home, I watch movies, I do whatever I want to do. So then when I come back to work the next day, I have the focus to be able to do even more things. So when you're talking about retiring at like 35, 40, sure. If you want to have a shack in Goa, it used to be my dream when I worked like that too. But I want to have a shack in Goa, not wear shoes, chappal pen ke, have fish fry all day. But as I realized that there's something, I love my job and I love being able to create in very different ways. I have the privilege to be in a position that not many have been in, and I've created that by myself. I don't want to give it up, and I don't want anyone to take it away from me. It's my legacy for my children and for the future generation that may not have even seen the potential of something like that for themselves. Why would I give it up?
Again,
Give yourself a break. It's okay. You just have to do the best you can. Survive, keep your head above water, and slowly you'll see you'll be walking on it.
When did you realize?
It's a really tough question because when I won my first pageant, which was Miss India, I was like, wow, I've won the world. I'm really successful. Then I won Miss World. And I was like, ye kaise ho gaya? Did not even, again, 18, 17, had no understanding how it happened. But what I did understand was the opportunity it gave me. Suddenly people knew me, wanted to know me, gave me new opportunities. There were movies that were coming my way. I didn't know anything about how do you sign a movie? My poor father was a physician. He didn't know even more. And he was like highly protective. They gave up their practice. And for 2 working doctors who were very successful in Bareilly, and this is something I didn't even think about till I was like 30 years old, gave up everything to pursue my 19-year-old dream, my 19-year-old opportunities that even. But like, if you think, why am I lucky enough to have the life that I do? And some other woman somewhere else with the same opportunity, with the same desires, same ambitions, same, needs, doesn't have any of it. I really think about that a lot. It makes me feel like there must be something I did right. I wake up every day with a sense of gratitude, and I wake up every day with wanting to give back, whether that's with the person that is standing right next to me or whether that is a life choice that I might make. But giving back, I think, is so crucial when it comes to being grateful. I'm highly grateful for everything that I have. And I do think that maybe I did something right, that I've been blessed with the opportunity of having the life, being born to the parents that I was, being able to have the opportunity of making my own choices, having agency in my own life. If you think about women around the world, so many don't have that. Like complete choices are made for themselves. But my parents told me, you have to have your opinion. What a privilege.
Hmm.
Absolutely agree. I was talking to somebody else about this yesterday, a young actor who was talking to me. And I really did say that my generation of women changed the trajectory of the next generation of
Yeah.
women. My co actors, female co actors, that fought to be the face on the poster, that fought for agency in the movies that a lot of women didn't get before us, just opened the doors for the generation after us. And I think not just for women, but people, our generation and every generation will always have a prototype that'll be better than us because we have changed the landscape, right?
Yeah.
And that's a huge responsibility on all of us.
Like I remember Mary Kom being one of the first female-led films. And
Yeah.
now
That
so
did-
many films are
That did
female-led.
commercially well
Yeah.
at that time. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember.
I mean,
You know, this generation of girls is fearless. And there's so many girls that take charge of their own lives and they say, I'm not going to fit into the cookie cutter mold that probably my mother did or my grandmother had to. And it's so, like, I have goosebumps right now just thinking about it. I meet so many young women who have changed the trajectory of their families because of the choices that they've made. I think my message would be that there's a lot of noise around us.
narratives.
Yeah. And people that tell us to be a certain way, that people that tell us that, I was talking the other day about someone that when I went to convent school, I had this thing called moral science, a subject called moral science, which taught me how, women should be seen, not heard. The lengths of our skirts, how we should sit with our legs. There's so much that is being told to women that to be a good girl, you have to be a certain way. Good girls don't make history. You know what I mean? Bold girls make history. Bold people make history. So if you want to be the lead actor of your movie, which is your life, you've got to take choices that might be contrary to what you've heard. And that empowerment may or may not come from your parents, may or may not come from your family or boyfriend or whoever you're around. It comes from you. And that no one can do, I, again, was lucky maybe because my parents gave me that. But I try to remind young girls specifically that if you don't have that, if you don't have that encouragement in your home, try to find it in your gut because no one's going to fix your life but you.
Or try to find it from content. And I'm not
You
just
have to find inspiration from people that inspire you. I have been inspired every day by collaborators that I work with. The reason I take new steps is because I see someone else doing something new and I'm like, wow, yaar, ye kitna acha idea hai. Kaise kiya hai is insaan ne? But I don't just sit with that. I think about meri zindagi mein wo naya idea kya hai? What can I do that'll make me feel how I feel about this person? It's about that feeling. It's about imbibing from the people around you. And it could be someone you admire on television. It could be someone in your class. It could be someone that you work with. But when you see something that you admire about someone, imbibe it.
all
I
this.
just think that, like I told you, I like to imbibe from the people around me. When I was becoming an actor, I didn't know anything about acting. So I used to sit and watch my co-actors. I used to sit and watch why they did what they did. So this came from a really funny thought. My mom, as soon as I turned 30, she's entrepreneurial. She's a doctor. She created her own business. But as soon as I turned 30, she sat me down and she said, look, you're in Bollywood. Your shelf life is over. All these 50-year-old actors only want to work with the girls in their 20s. So after 30, you're not going to have a job very much, just like you have to start planning for your future. So what about making your own movies? Starting production. And that, at that time, is really funny considering I'm 40 and I'm still have a very active acting career. But it was foresight on her end in an industry which kind of told women that when you're 30, sorry, you're too old. So I started getting interested in production, just thinking about the fact that I was going to lose my day job. And then that became really interesting to me. The business of entertainment started becoming really interesting to me. I used to talk a lot to my producer friends, producers that I was working with. What are the choices they make? How are movies made? So you have a cost of production. You have to recover your cost of production to make profit. So I started getting into what margins look like and just understanding that. And that was fascinating to me
Mm.
because it's so creative. There are so many ways to be able to create something. And I think once I started doing production, and I started working in America, I knew my manager happened to be a venture capitalist, and she was really into tech and stuff. So I was very interested in, and at that time she was just a collaborator, but I really got interested in investments. And I started with small investments in little things, and then those things became really big, like Bumble. So when I brought Bumble into India, I mean, Bumble changed the dating scene in India, especially for girls. And that just showed me the power of being able to have a new idea. And the idea at that time was when Bumble was launched around the world, and Whitney, who's a dear friend of mine and launched it, she left Tinder to make Bumble because she saw the gap in the market that we want to be able to create a safe space where women have the first opportunity, where women can take the first step. And that was such a brilliant plan. And what I said to her was, India needs it the most because of especially the unsafe circumstances within which girls have to survive and live in sometimes in India.
And it's being used in tier 3, tier 4 now.
Absolutely. How beautiful is that? Like, again, I have goosebumps just thinking about the fact that this came from an idea. So ideas are what was really interesting to me. And then being able to work with people who can help me execute ideas is what really started the entrepreneurial journey in me. First, I started with investments, and Anomaly is my first brand that I founded myself with the help of Mesa. Bringing them, but I really lean on my partners to learn from them. And I just love the fact that you can have an idea today and monetize it. Why not? You're not just reduced to, I won't say reduced to because I come from a family of doctors and engineers, but at that time, in my parents' generation and the generation before that, it was doctor, engineer, lawyer, military, government job. Like those 5 or 6 things that everyone had to aim for. But today, like, I think my generation of parents are not going to have those boxes for our children, right? You have an idea, let's run with it.
Yeah. I have this little.
No, it's not the easiest thing to be an Indian in America.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Even Priyanka Chopra said that, felt that.
I mean, yes, I started working in the States in 2010. And in 2020, after 10 years of working in the industry, I started with music and then pivoted into acting in America. So I started in 2010 for context. In 2020, I got my first leading role. How long did it take me? 10 years. So people don't think about how much hard work, how much consistent knocking on doors, how much humility it takes to go to another country and start from scratch. I had built an incredible career here, amazing credibility here. And I got an opportunity to do music, and people were curious about the fact that, because I could sing, what that could be. And I'm a big fan of the music industry anyway. We in India are monopolized by Bollywood when it comes to music so much.
For now.
I hope so. That we've not really been able to bifurcate into pop music or pop culture when it comes to music. It's still very niche. So I was really a big fan of like music and musicians, and very excited about that opportunity. Went there, worked with the most incredible musicians, and quickly realized that I'm not as good as them, and I should go back to my day job. I'm very astute when it comes to, I don't lie to myself. I'm very honest to myself. So I did the music. I love the music that I did for myself, but it wasn't my standard of excellence. It was good. It was fun. Played on the radio. It was successful. Sold a lot of CDs, but it wasn't my lane. And that made me want to dabble in acting as well and see if there was an opportunity there. But it required me to strip every single thing that I knew in India and the laurels that I had achieved in India, the awards that I had won, the movies that I had done, the box office successes that I had seen. It required me to walk into rooms with extreme humility and introduce myself to people, to take my show reel and say, this is the work I have done. I would love to work with you. I would love to see if there's an opportunity with you. I remember I've done so many small roles in big movies in Hollywood. But that's what it took for me when I started here too. A lot of people used to say to me, "Oh, she's left doing Bollywood movies to do small roles in Hollywood." It started with every new actor starts there. You have to start with from the beginning, and I don't sit with that. Um, if I'm successful in one country, then everyone in the world should treat me like I'm a queen. It doesn't work that way. So I don't know about that, but most people expect and anticipate that if you're treated a certain way or if you're making a certain amount of money in a certain country, you're going to be treated the same way because everyone is waiting in Hollywood to cast you, right? They're just waiting for Priyanka Chopra. We were just waiting for you to come only, Priyanka, to change the trajectory of movies. Of course, Hollywood is not the same without you. It doesn't work that way. You have to go, you have to pound the pavement, you have to walk in, you have to be rejected, you have to audition, and you have to work around the culture of a new country. And that was so hard. I had to swallow the humility pill, and I was willing to do that hard work. And then 10 years later, I finally got my leading role in a movie. I finally got the same remuneration as a man, which I never did in Bollywood. I have never got the same check as my male co-actor, even if my part is the same, even if I've held the movie as much as I can. Finally, I got it in 2021 after 21 years of working. So it seems like, oh my gosh, America was so great for you and Hollywood was awesome. But the tears that it took when you move to a new country with no friends, no family, working with people that don't know you and don't know what you are able to achieve. When I first started doing Quantico, my co-actors did not understand the hoopla around me. They were like, who is this person? Like, why are you, the lead that was the first time I got a lead role in a television series. And they just couldn't understand why. And it required me to just, be humble and say, I'm okay. This is a new environment. It's easy to go fishing from your boat, but when you have to go deep sea diving, it's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
So you have to learn according to your environment. So no, it wasn't easy. It was very hard. It took a lot of sweat, tears, and blood from me to finally be able to reach where I have reached. So when you say, I don't want to pass off the work that it took to get there and the time and the commitment that it took to get there.
But look at you now.
In India, we've been taught that mindset. We are not people as a people. Very few of us are happy for somebody else's success. Because again, I think my hypothesis, and I don't know, I'm not someone who's an expert on the field, but my hypothesis is that, we were colonized till 1947.
I agree.
We've not even been 100 years. We've just about been our own country, our own people.
It's divide and rule, but on an emotional level.
Exactly. And our generation has to recognize that. Our generation has to say, hold on. Why is my natural instinct when someone is successful is to be jealous? Why is my natural instinct when someone is successful to be envious? Why is my natural instinct not saying, wow, you've done so great. Let me add on to this person. Let me push you forward because then you're pulling me forward. There is such a strength in numbers, which we don't recognize. If we only collectively banded together and supported other successful people in our fields, we would be unstoppable in the world. We are 1/5 of the world's population, but we've never been able to take our own stand because of that reason. I don't know about where that learning comes from, but I just like you, I've also had people wanting to jeopardize my career.
Like what used to happen?
I don't know, take away from work, make sure that I wasn't cast just because, I was doing well in what I was doing. But that's not what stopped. I don't sit and wait and harp on. I mean, maybe I'll cry one night or the other when an opportunity was taken away from me, but I don't sit in the shit, You can sit in the shit and then you'll start smelling of it. And then you don't even know you're smelling of it because you've got so used to it. So then you just become dark and negative and you'll never move forward. You have to shut off the noise. There are many people that will want to pull you down, but don't focus on that. Focus on the one person that believes in you. Focus on the light, little sliver of light that you might see, a little bit of inspiration that you might see. And that's the hardest thing to do because you're bogged down by baggage. You're bogged down by shackles of people holding you down. So you have to really push forward. And that's just individual. Do you have that inside of you to fight that fight for yourself? Or are you going to wait for somebody else to do it? That's an individual choice. I had a vision board. I put shit up on it and I was like, okay, this is what I want to achieve. But I didn't focus enough on it for it to work. For me, what has always worked is having the small next dream, the next step. So that you always have to take a step up in the ladder to be able to get to the top. You can't get to the top by flying up.
Yeah.
Human beings don't fly.
It's a way of saying
And then slowly you'll turn around and you say, oh, whoa, look at this legacy I've created. But if you have unachievable dreams, something that seems too out of the ordinary, then you're waiting for a miracle. And miracles don't happen very often. You have to create it for yourself. So what's the next step in your big dream? So if you want to buy a car, say for example, you have to figure out how much it's for. So अगर 100 रुपए की कोई चीज़ खरीदनी है आपको, तो वो 100 रुपए आपको बनाने पड़ेंगे. So you have to work backwards from your goal. So if my goal is one thing, I'll work backwards. And what is the first step in that goal? I'll take that. Then the next step in that goal, and slowly you'll buy your car.
What would you like to change?
Be a public person. Like, we talk a lot about and we point a lot of fingers at celebrities and public people. ये तो ऐसे हैं, ये तो वैसे हैं. It's a really hard job. It is so hard to be dinner table conversation every single day. It is so hard to walk into a room and know that somebody is going to be talking about me when I leave. Good, bad, ugly, not in my control. It is so hard to wake up every morning and know that I am for public consumption. And it can be an opinion that is completely the opposite of who I am. People could think I'm unlikable. People could say that I'm a horrible person. People could say I'm unprofessional. That's not my truth. But I can't change that opinion. So if I sit and read every comment or every, negative thing on social media or keep wondering about the paranoia of when I walk out of a room, what is someone saying? Oh my God, I'll never be able to achieve anything. But it's so hard. Cut people a break. Cut public people. Everyone aspires to be a celebrity. Everyone is like, oh, I want to be famous and I want to be in that position. But nobody sees how hard it is. Like, it is so hard when